You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 7 of the scariest horror movie moments of all time. This is numbers 23 from 211. We're getting right to the top 10. That's next week. That's going to be the final episode, but man, do they have some really interesting picks and some picks that I'm really happy with, and we're gonna get into it in this video. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode in the comments below. So starting with The Descent, and this was a really interesting pick. I wasn't expecting this to make it on the list, because this is one of those movies that, like, I remember it very vividly, but like don't really see it being on a lot of people's list. Didn't really expect it to make it at like 23, which is pretty damn high for this movie. But let me know how you guys feel about this pick. Next, we got Saw, and this is probably, personally, in my opinion, the best Saw out of the entire franchise. It's the first and should have been the only one that we got. Because imagine if we never got all these other Saw movies and we just got that one. I think just either way, Saw is just a very impactful type of movie that kind of just set up something new for the horror genre as a whole. Now, this is another one. I think it's a David Cronenberg movie, Scanners. I always remember this poster, and I remember the exploding head scene, but I've never watched this movie. I might check it out, but I'm kind of hesitant just because it's David Cronenberg, because I'm just not like the hugest fan of his style or just a lot of his movies. But yeah, this was a really cool, interesting pick. You know what I'm saying? And there's definitely a theme in this episode as well. As we get to the next pick, which I was like, yes, Wreck definitely needs to be on here. Now, I remember watching Quarantine, was it back in 06 or 07? I have a funny story about that, but I'm not going to tell it here. But Quarantine was pretty much the knockoff of this movie. And this movie is really fucking terrifying. Just more found footage. I definitely think it's one of the more scarier found footage movies out there, but it's really dope to see a movie like that. Now we get into some really classic movies. We got Carrie. Shouts to my homie, the Black Guru, because we definitely watched this movie on his Discord, and it was the first time that he saw it, and he really enjoyed this movie. And I liked how they referenced the scene of her grabbing the old girl's hand and stuff. It's very reminiscent of like Friday the 13th, and there was a movie before, I think it was like Deliverance or something like that, that actually was the first movie to kind of do that trick, but Carrie made it more popular. It stuck with more people, so you started to see that trope in other horror movies over time. So Carrie being at this spot, really dope. I really love that movie, the way it's shot and everything. You could literally choose a lot of different scenes from that movie as your favorite horror scary moment. Next is The Omen. That's another movie that the homie BG Black Guru has also ran on his Discord, it's really refreshing to watch this. It's very slow at times, but I feel like that first like half of the movie is really intriguing. So it's dope to see The Omen this high up. Now, Night of the Living Dead right here. This is a absolute classic. If it wasn't for this movie, you wouldn't have gotten like Dawn of the Dead, The Last of Us, The Walking Dead, you know what I'm saying? This is a very impactful movie that I don't think amongst actual filmmakers or just film fans really gets the recognition. And you really start to see like a lot of these movies on this list and what they have done for cinema. It's crazy, and that's why I love horror so much, because horror has innovated so much and has done things that are outside of the box that just didn't get its recognition outside of horror fans. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that horror is like this or that, but it's movies like this that just really changed film and stuff, and you get a lot of this throughout horror and just over the history. And I really like how they're breaking down the information of these movies as well. Next, you got Exorcist 3. Now you already know what they're what scene they are referencing with this movie. It's the nurse and the chick in the white gown, or if that is even a chick, I don't know. That scene is pretty dope. I see that scene a lot. Like, anytime you get one of these horror lists or documentaries or something like that, you'll always see that scene. They even say, hey, type in jump scares, and this is like the first thing that'll pop up and stuff like that. But Exorcist 3, I'm not upset about at all. I think it's high enough. Let me know how you guys feel about Exorcist 3 being at 16. Now we're into the top 15 with Final Destination, and oh boy, that opening scene with the car crash is crazy, because I feel like everybody kind of has that fear in the back of their mind. Like, once you hop on like 295, well, that's the highway I hop on, and if you're in like Jersey or whatnot, South Jersey and shit, I feel like that's everybody's biggest fear. It's just a pileup. That's just terrifying because it can go either way. But to have a premonition of that shit is even scarier, because it's like, you know what's about to happen before it happens. And it's just, Final Destination is really dope. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this new Final Destination. I would always like to see Final Destination as a TV series, because I think there's a lot of creative things that you could do with that. So let me know how you guys feel about the first Final Destination being at number 15. Next, we got Jaws, and thank God that this is at like 14, because I was looking at Bravo's list and they had that as number 1 over a lot of interesting movies that I felt were a lot more scarier than Jaws. I understand it. It's like that whole being afraid of the ocean. You don't know if there's sharks in the ocean, and just that whole phobia, I guess. And you know, just for me, I just don't think Jaws needs to be number 1. At 14, or I would even put it lower, just me personally, not to take nothing away from the movie, it's still an iconic movie. Not saying that, I'm just saying it's scary. It's not that scary, but interesting pick for it to be at 14. I could definitely see some people being pissed off about this if you're a huge Jaws fan and think that it should be in like the top 10, but I feel like it being in just the top 20 is good enough for me. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about that in the comments below. Next, you got Scream, the very first Scream. This is a revolutionary horror movie. We really haven't had a horror movie like this in like years, bro. That it acknowledges other horror movies. It's very meta. It was very unique at the time, and just them establishing rules in horror movies that still kind of I kind of look at today with a lot of horror movies and stuff, and just certain tropes and twists and reveals is really dope, and that's why I really appreciate Scream, and I think it definitely deserves to be this high. I could definitely see some people being pissed that Scream is higher than Jaws. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's going to be very controversial, but I feel like Scream definitely is deserving for this spot. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Next, we get Halloween, which, man, what perfect timing, you know what I'm saying? With Halloween ends out and people just ripping their heads off about Halloween ends and how it's a disservice to the franchise, blah, 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 blah. Go check out my review of Halloween Ends, but Halloween definitely is one of those special iconic movies, and it's always fascinating to me when people talk about like this movie has like absolutely really no blood or anything, and just a lot of ways that they got creative with the budget that they had. They didn't have no big budget. I think it was like $300K or something like that to make this movie, which is still mind-blowing as hell to me that you can just get this type of quality out of a low budget film. And now there's definitely some things in this movie that especially the scene that they showed that shows that how dumb Michael is. It's just like, bro, you had so many opportunities to kill Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie. But you know, Jamie Lee Curtis has like the ultimate plot armor, you know what I'm saying, in these movies, so it is what it is. But I definitely think that it's dope to see Halloween this high on the list. Let me know how you guys feel about this pick. Lastly, we got at number 11, Alien. Not Aliens 2, this is the very first Alien, and Alien is such a fire movie, bro. Just looking back at that movie that came out in like late 70s, you know what I'm saying, and just looking at the special effects, it's just something really truly mind-blowing about those movies overall, and just why they are just held at such high regard and stuff. So I'm not even mad at this pick, but I actually like this episode. I feel like this is one of the better episodes. A lot of fire movies, except for like Scanners. I can't really speak on that because I haven't seen it, but all the other picks I'm okay with. I think it's going to be interesting to see this top 10, and I think it's going to be very much make or break for a lot of people. Some other people have already kind of checked out of this list, but I'm really hyped to see the next episode, the last episode. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments below. Until next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.